Hey, it's Chris Pontius from Jackass and Wild Boys, and it's time for Mattie C Sports for You and Me. Mattie C Sports for You and Me, food for the sports fans' infernal soul. Feast on field goals. Check out Mattie C Sports for You and Me. Even if you don't like sports, tune in now because you are going to. It's that good. I mean, we got sports for guys, sports for gals, sports for the whole kids. Get ready to be happy. Mattie C Sports for You and Me. Sports for you, sports for me. Brought to you by Mattie C.
On this team, we fight for that itch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that itch.
Coming in at 320 kilobytes per second. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Mattie C Sports for you and me.
When it comes to getting dough and chasing dollars.
All right, welcome to Mattie C Sports for You and Me. I have a special guest here from the long time ago PBH League, Pro Beach Hockey. If any of you people remember, you should because it was on ESPN, and also a three-time World Rollerblading Champion, Ray Razor Matz. Ray, how you doing tonight, brother?
Excellent, brother. Mattie, appreciate you having me on, man. Pumped.
Well, I just wanted to.
And we're going to talk about salsa, right?
Absolutely.
Come on.
Absolutely. We're gonna get some spice going on here tonight, bro. So I wanted to say first, when you started hockey and you were from Philadelphia, I mean, hard-nosed, Broad Street bullies, all that stuff. And I read a quote that you probably don't remember, but I believe it was from your mom saying that you already lost your teeth at 30. It doesn't matter with stuff like that.
So I got introduced into roller. Really cool story there when I was 27 years old. What's cool about that? So fast forward to when I was 30, playing in Berlin, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
I had keys to the rink. I was helping Dave Way, the owner at the time, set up leagues. And it was 2 days before Christmas, dude. I invite a couple friends over. I actually had David Castellanos, the captain of Team Mexico, living with me for 2 months to train. We go down a couple days before Christmas, open up the rink. I'm cruising behind the net. Paul Scarcelli, good friend of mine back in the day, goes to lift my stick, misses my stick, 4 front teeth, 1 shot.
Oh my God.
4 front. I literally lifted my head off the floor, just blood everywhere. David Castellanos says, "Raymond, you look ugly." Fast forward 2 days later, I go over to my mom's, got the whole partial, the whole Bobby Clark look, 74, 75 bullies.
I know that. Yeah.
My mom says to me, "Oh my goodness, you always wanted to get your teeth knocked out." I said, "Not when I was 30 years old, maybe when I was 8, 10.
I hear you, man. Bobby Orr always had the clean teeth. He was all ready to go all the time.
Absolutely.
So,
but God.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I was just going to ask. So, when during that time and beforehand, did you start mainly in ice hockey before that, and then get introduced to rollerblading after that?
Correct. So, growing up in Philly, you had mentioned, 74, 75 Broad Street Billies. Everybody was at that time. So I was living AKA the hood, inner city kid, Philly. My parents didn't have, we didn't even know what ice hockey was. when the Flyers won that first cup, literally you got your Milik stick, you were out in the street, sewer to sewer. I don't know if you know what a sewer is, but then you would put somebody
Of course
down
I do. Yeah.
leg first to get the ball. But that was the start of it. And I was like 11, 12 years old. It was a pretty cool time. And then I think a year after that, I don't know where my parents came up with the money. I started playing ice, and I just loved it. It was super cool. Moved up to Northeast Philly, kind of out of the hood. I don't want to say hood in a bad way, but where I grew up, you don't want to go back there right now. It's that whole perspective, man.
Yeah. And, Philly's always been known for the tough spots. And, I went to a Philly game with my wife. It was, I believe it was a little bit after our wedding. And I went over there to Wells Fargo, and I went to obviously go see the Bruins because I'm a Bruins fan from Massachusetts. And going there, it's like, we had these military appreciation t-shirts, and they were black. So you couldn't really tell that there was a Bruins symbol. Not that we didn't care anyways, but like, so Bruins keep scoring, end up being the final 6-1, and Philly fans just booing their team. And it was just
relentless.
Yeah. And
my goodness.
I mean, I talked with two Flyers alumni, one being equipment and one being an agitator. So both of them told me the Broad Street stories too, and it still continues. It never goes away. So it's totally
a tough crowd, dude.
Yeah. So going back to you, so you get back you go into roller hockey, and when did it start? Your pro career start to take off?
So let's go back to Northeast Philadelphia, Archbishop Ryan High School. There was a core group of guys that I was playing ice hockey with. These guys were playing old school quad hockey in the school parking lot. Okay. Philadelphia Scorchers was one of my first teams, back in the 90s. So I get a call. I think it was a Thursday night. I was 27 years old. Danny Palmer, great player out of Philadelphia, just awesome. He says, dude, are you still skating? I was like, yeah, I'm playing men's league. I played junior A up in Canada for a year when I was 18. Canadians were big, strong. I was just scrawny kid from Philly, and I'm like, wanted no parts of it. Came home, started a company. 27 years old. Danny Palmer calls. It's like, dude, we're still playing roller hockey. He's like, we're going out to California. We're playing they were the Hosers at the time, really good Levada team. And I was like, you guys are still playing roller? You got to be kidding me. He's like, no, it's inline now. It's a lot of fun. We travel, and I'm looking at men's league, beer league hockey, going, what am I doing? He's like, listen, there's some opportunity. There's sponsorship. Kryptonics wheel company was big back in the day. They took care of us. Mission Hockey, of course, Bauer. And I was like, all right. He's like, come down to Berlin, New Jersey next week. I had ice gear. I had an old set of rollerblades that weighed like 400 pounds that I bought in 85.
Wow.
And I showed up. They said, hey, listen, we're going to nationals. We would love to have you on the team. The only thing we want you to do is take slap shots. Wherever you get the puck, just shoot. I couldn't skate. I couldn't stick handle. Oh my goodness. So I got into the groove. I got introduced I had the big shot. So I was shooting from anywhere. I'd take it from behind my net and shoot. It was ridiculous. I was getting lucky too with some of the goals until I'm watching guys, Jay Mazer, CJ Yoder, Mudcat guys, Web Warriors from Pro Beach. These guys are stopping on a dime, going the other way. I mean, dangling through everyone. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like I need to do what they're doing. So I literally started training in the parking lot, Northeast Philly, every night on the rollers. Wow. Every night for 4 or 5 hours. And the next year, tryouts for Team USA just happened to be in Chicago. They invited a bunch of us. CJ Yoder woke up early. It was 1995. It was a Sunday morning tryout. And it was it was shady. We knew a couple of the coaches. We didn't really like them because they weren't from our area. And all the guys were like, I'm not showing up, man. It's going to be a scam. It's going to be stupid. So CJ Yoder at the time, you know CJ Yoder?
I vaguely remember the name.
So he's one of the best roller hockey guys, 90s, 2000. I mean, you talked about, me having 3 gold medals. I think he went in Team USA at least 12 years deep. Wow. Phenomenal player. Grew up in Middletown, Pennsylvania. His father owned a rink. I actually saw him play last week in Tampa. I think he's 45. He's a lot younger than me. Man. He's still playing a pro division, dude. So this guy, he's someone you want to dial into. Just a great guy. His family gave to the sport. We show up and I worked my tail off. I didn't have all the skills. I worked my tail off. All of a sudden, 4-hour tryout. They're like, Ray, CJ, we'd love to have you on the team. You got to go take a P test, go get drug tested. And I'm looking at CJ, and he was young. He was like 18, 19 at the time. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like, dude, this is like Olympic committee stuff. Like, this is real. All of a sudden, dude, they're sending us tickets, flying us out to California to play with the California boys, because most of the team was based out of there. That was my first year of roller. Like, what a blessing that was. If I wouldn't have took that call, I'd probably still be playing men's league hockey right now.
Yeah.
I've been playing roller for 30 years now? Isn't that insane?
Yeah, that's probably the number you probably remember the best. Probably still remember the number.
I mean, that was the start. And then, of course, a couple years after that, and I know you wanted to talk about Pro Beach. So we watched this online the first year. I'm sorry, we watched it on ESPN. And we're like, okay, the guys are a little slow. It's a little weird, half pipe in the back of the net, 3/4 glass. You shoot the ball up, it comes in, hits the goalie in the back and goes in the net. Dancers. I mean, like, what is this? So I don't know if you know Peter Dale. Peter Dale, Farm Tough Hockey. He's another guy that he was my roommate in 1995 Team USA. Another guy, great connection. So we're watching this. We're like, what is this? So the second year, he gets a call from Franklin, because his name's all over the place. And he's like, hey, Ray, they want us to come out. I was like, dude, come on. It's like, it's kind of a joke. Like, hey, we're like skateboarders, inline skaters, hockey players, like all meshed into one big, ugly sport. So we get out there. The crazy thing about it, if you watch the first couple of years, the skating was not good. Ice court came in. They had such a glare on the court. They came in with giant sanders to get the glare, and they took off the surface. Well, they took off all the grip. First 5 minutes in practice, I get out there. I'm like flying down the wing. I go to hit the brakes and just slide from under me. I said to Peter, I'm like, oh my goodness, like, what is this? He's like, yeah, the court's screwed. Long story short, if you watch Pro Beach hockey, the talent level was supposed to be up here, but the way the floor, how slippery it was, literally everybody was on eggshells. It was that slippery out there. So it was cool to watch. I mean, the ball was a little bit bigger. I mean, come on, a hockey ball? Really?
Yeah.
It's like a softball, but it was fun. I mean, we're on ESPN. I mean, what else do you want? I mean, that's it. My claim to fame.
I mean, like you're saying, like, they wanted US wanted you to learn by just taking slap shots. That's what they wanted you to do. Just imagine what it's like when you were on that, I can't even call it ice, sand paved rink.
Yeah.
So like, I never understood like the 2-point goal. Did you yourself ever score the 2-point goal?
So I do have, if you get a chance, if you go to YouTube, look up Pro Beach, I did download, and it's funny, Marty McSorley asked me to take my teeth out. So that was Marty McSorley.
I didn't know that was Marty McSorley.
It is hysterical. Did you see that?
I did see that when you said, "Here you go, boys."
Exactly. So in that video, I was like in front of the goalie. We needed 2 points to tie the game up, and I literally ripped a shot. Well, it's great with the ball. I don't know how far it was out. The ball went in, and I think it was Ricky Plester, and it was going wide. All of a sudden, it hooked top left corner. I was like, "What's the chances of that?" And, Marty McSorley, 2-point goal. It's like basketball. Come on, really?
And
it was crazy.
And I mean, like, I could see you had the hockey sense because the videos I saw with you where you could dangle against those goalies. It looks like those goalies were like, in the All-Star. I'm not saying anything bad, but those goalies look like they were in like the NHL All-Star game when they're like, they just don't really, it doesn't matter if they save it or not. They just kind of.
And I totally appreciate that. But the floor had a big factor on everyone's play. I mean, goalie side to side, like if you would deke a goalie, like they're just slipping. So I got lucky a lot, which was super cool.
I didn't know you were so big too. When I was looking, I was like, I was looking on your Game Changing Dads podcast stuff. And I was like trying to get info, and I'm like, 6 feet. He's like, and he's big dude. I was talking about you. I'm like, oh my God, like it doesn't look like it, but in the YouTube video, you're like huge, man.
So that was like, Philly pizza, cheesesteaks, pretzels. I mean, I was running probably about 225. At 40 years old, I met my wife, got married, and I'm running about 180 right now. I'm 54 years old. I feel great skating 3 times a week with a nonprofit I run here in Amelia Island. But I didn't need all that. It's funny because roller hockey was about speed. So when I transitioned over to ice and wanted to beef up a little bit, it just, I don't know. I just didn't feel comfortable after a while. It was almost like dragging some extra weight. So I just decided to dial it in. And I mean, I feel great at 185, 80 pounds
Me
right
too.
now, which is cool. Amen. You're looking good, dude. I get it, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So wait, going back to your like USA career now, how far were you traveling, and like, what was your most competitive teams it besides country wise? Like, was it Russia? Was it Canada or?
Always Canada. Yeah.
Always
except for the second year. I don't know if what happened to Canada. We had played in Italy, second World Championships, and Italy actually made it to the championships with us. So I'm trying to think, maybe Sweden I forget who knocked out Canada, but Canada was always, we were always in the championship fighting for the gold medal. Now, Italy, it's funny, Italy that year, they come from, they didn't just jump into roller hockey. They came from ball and cane. And this is something for you to look up, a little history. It was field hockey in a rink on quads. Insane in other countries. They had it a little. They actually had a Team USA through ball and cane back in I think it was 80s and early 90s. And then everybody was like, dude, it's like girls field hockey. We don't want any of it. So their goalie at the time, so a typical goalie would stand in the net. Ball and cane goalies would stand like a catcher, like at a baseball game, like almost all the way down, and his pads are up by his face. What's funny about that, we played him in the championship. I come down second period or whenever, and I take a slap shot. Well, guess where his head is? Like right at the crossbar. I knocked this guy out flat.
Wow.
And 2 of the players came over and said, listen, he's a national treasure. Like, he is the top goaltender for their ball and cane. Like, if he doesn't survive, like, they will come and get you. And I'm like, oh my God. And it's crazy. They were serious. Like, guy.
I'm sure.
Oh my, exactly. It was like the mafia was going to be involved or something. I was like, oh my God. And he got up, he rolled over. I was like, okay, thank God that was okay. But it was crazy how he was playing. Cause I even said to one of my roommates, I'm like, what is he doing? He's like, they come from ball and cane. It's almost like a catcher. Same deal. And it was crazy to see all the transition, how the other players and countries looked in the mid 90s. It's insane.
It must have been cool. I mean, I can't even imagine like traveling, representing your country, of course, and then visiting other countries, see like their skill level. I mean,
Yeah.
I probably go back to like, see, I'm a hockey buff myself too. I like the history, I like all that stuff. You know, seeing a documentary about how the Russians felt when they lost to Team USA, and then Team USA, obviously there's Miracle, and then the 80s version of it, Miracle on Ice.
Awesome.
So it's like to see both perspectives is like amazing, because like, you know, you see different countries and who they were playing. And I looked up the stats, like Russia's schedule was harder than the Americans. The Russians played like Japan and beat them 19-3 or something like that. And the Americans had to play Finland to even win a gold medal. So it's like, it's stuff that people don't know behind the scenes of how much it took for each team to do what. So it's amazing how you said like visiting other countries and how amazing it is to see other talents, or no offense, lack of.
Yeah. In 95, we played Great Britain, and I think the score ended up 41-0.
Oh my God.
My God. It was crazy. They were, I mean, half of them were on quads. They didn't know what was going on. They were just like happy, like, hey, we made this national team. Because keep in mind, 95, that was like, you know, building the foundation, you know, to get it introduced. And each 4 years they try to get it. And I'm watching the Olympics this week. Love the Olympics. Love
Me too.
passion
Same.
and love with these guys. I mean, whatever country, but for an athlete to get there, oh yeah. I mean, they had to absolutely rock it. But I'm looking at some of the sports and I'm saying to myself, we've been pushing for 25 years to get roll. I mean, how cool would that? I mean, a summer sport, keep it away from ice, totally different game, 5-on-5 compared to 4-on-4. It's a totally different game. No offsides, no icing. Totally. Just when you get two pro roller hockey teams together, and just for your notes, Pat Maroon.
Yes. Stanley Cup champ 3 times.
Played 2 weeks ago in, oh man, I think it was in St. Louis. And let me X that out. Played in St. Louis, roller hockey, because he's got a lot of roller hockey background.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I saw his son play down in Tampa Bay. And what's funny about that situation, we were at a national tournament a month ago, and my 14-year-old daughter is like, hey, I got pictures of this guy. Check it out. I'm like, who is it? I follow a very little NHL, I'll be honest. I got 3 young kids, way too much stuff going on. And I said to my daughter, who is it? I was like, I don't know, but all these people were going up to him. I figured it was somebody famous. I got his picture. It was Pat Maroon going to see his son. And I just talked to my buddy Peter, and Pat did play in the pro division. It's a tournament called State Wars. Phenomenal. Every state is representative from mites all the way to masters, 50 and over. Really cool tournament. But yeah, he's out there playing roller hockey after he had another Stanley Cup ring, which is awesome.
I know, 3 in a row.
Pretty amazing. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's amazing how your kids knew that, oh, hey, this guy looks famous because everybody's around him.
That was hysterical. That's a 14-year-old girl for you.
That's Are they into roller hockey just like yourself?
So I've been married for 16 years. We were up in Philly for a year. Then we went down to North Carolina. With my background in just roller, that all my kids ever played was roller, which was fun. But then at 14 years old, my daughter comes to me and says, Dad, I mean, roller hockey's great. I love it. But, you know, there's not a lot of college scholarships. I want to play ice. So her transition to ice, it took her about maybe 2 weeks to figure it out. And just slammed it. I love the players that can play roller and ice, because there's a lot more creativity to roller, especially when you get into pro divisions. Mm-hmm. That if you can bring that aspect to ice, it just gives the player so much more bandwidth as a player. For instance, Pat Maroon, go through his history. I'm pretty sure that he played before he hit the NHL. I'm almost positive. Don't quote me on that. But it's just phenomenal to see, but yes, my kids I have an 11-year-old boy. My youngest name is Mission.
Yeah.
He's like, Dad,
Yep.
why is my name all over my equipment? That's when we were sponsored by Mission. And they're going to start ice, but they started all in roller. Here's the deal. You can get your rollerblades and go out front.
Oh yeah.
You can skate wherever you want. Like, how cool is that? When we were playing ice hockey, I mean, it was tough. You didn't have cash. If there wasn't a rink close, you weren't playing.
Oh, I know all about it. Yeah. I was always like, sometimes with that hand-me-down equipment, but my father always made sure I had a brand new helmet and a brand new pair of skates. The other stuff didn't matter. I know. Coming from a middle class family, I mean, it was great. Hockey was a big thing for me, and going into the podcast stuff, it brought me into a lot of good people, a lot of good hockey players, and especially yourself. And just coming out and just banging it out like I'm a hockey player myself. But you missed the game, but maybe I'll bring it on to my little girl. She's 3 years old. She's got the 2 sticks and a mini net, so she's good to go.
That's where they start, dude. That's it.
So I'll go on to what I really wanted to talk about is your podcast, Game Changing Dads. So where did that start all out?
So Game Changing Dads was an idea probably about 5 years back. I don't know. I'm a big advocate of just dads that are in the game, as a father, as a provider, as a husband, just running on all cylinders. I lost my father last year, and
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I loved what my dad brought to the table, but there was not a lot of connection. He was the provider, he was out there working, and that's kind of how it was back in the day. Like, I'm blessed now that I understand to have a relationship with my 14-year-old girl is huge, with my 11-year-old boy and my 7-year-old girl. Just to have a good relationship, to have conversations. When my father was alive, it was the joke where, hey, Dad, what's up? Doing good, man. Here's your mom. And I'm like, Dad, hey, I want to talk to you, man. I want a relationship. I was like, come on. And this is how his family, how the men were back then. I mean, not saying it was bad. They were providing, but I just felt there was something missing. Like, I want to banter back and forth. Like, for instance, when I met my father-in-law at 39 years old, Army guy, I fly down to Texas and I was like, yo, I absolutely love your daughter. I'd love to marry her. I understand I've only known her for 6 months. He's like, excuse me. But he was the guy that I connected with. I had conversations with. It was pretty cool. And like I said, I love my father, but I kind of miss that connection. So as fathers, I mean, you're rolling a young one there. It's so important, whether it's money's great. Jobs are great. But looking back, like I was a stay-at-home father for the first almost 10 years, which was cool, even though it sucked. Especially during 2008 when I got wiped out in real estate. That really sucked, but that's a whole nother story. But, watching the kids crawl, watching the kids walk, their first words, like that is cool. And it's, I guess it's where your heart is. Like, some guys are like, hey man, I'm making $300,000-$400,000 a year. Like I'm rocking it. But when we're 90, 95 years old and we're on our deathbed, what are we going to look back on? Had a great conversation with my mom today. She's 86, stage 2 Alzheimer's. And this all came about when my father passed last year. And, but we have conversations. We're still having fun. And I want to have that conversation when I'm 90 and look back going, oh, I remember when Razor, my son, did this, or my daughter did this. And we just had a good time, whether it's playing pickup in the middle of the street, which we do a lot here in Florida, which is great. Mm-hmm. I go old school Philly on these people, man. I mean, we're playing like pickup hockey right in the middle of the street. but just the connections, the personal connections, I don't think they're going to look back. We're not going to look back at 90 years old and going, oh, man, I'm so glad I bought that brand new car, or I'm so glad I got that other house or whatever. We're going to say, wow, how's that relationship look? With my wife, with my kids, what am I passing on to those, family members? So I wrote a book called Game Changing Dads, and I started a podcast. Just wanted to kind of give back, and I didn't want fathers to miss it. I didn't want a father to wake up when he was 60 years old going, holy crap, what happened there? Kids are out of the house or in college, and oblivious, like, whoa, wait a minute. So it's almost like hit the brakes, see what's important. Don't deem important what the world is telling you. Family's family, man. Your kids are your kids. And just like Rocket as a father, man, they want to see you. They want to see the challenges. They want to hear your stories of the crap you went through. I never got that from my parents. My parents were under the carpet. Just get the broom, all the problems under the carpet. There's so many things that I would love. I brought up to my parents. This was a good one. I was 10 years old. We're at a family outing. I think it was Christmas. My father, 170 pounds, little skinny dude. My uncle, 250. They were yapping back and forth. All of a sudden, I turn around. My father, boom, knocks out my uncle, lays him out. Oh. I'm 10 years old. Dude, I'm 10 years old. I'm like, to this day, I have no stinking clue why. There's so many things I asked my mom, and my dad's like, oh, don't worry about it. Now, I've been through a lot of crazy situations. I want to share it with my kids, whether it's addictions, whether it was problems, whether it's stuff that I went through as an athlete. Oh my goodness. Like, they need to know that, oh, Dad's a podcaster. He's just rocking it. Look how perfect. No, they want to know the war stories. And when you can have a relationship and share what's on your heart, struggles, victories, valleys, your kids are going to go, oh my goodness, I remember my dad talked to me about that. Maybe I shouldn't do A, B, and C. So it's huge, man. But it's a lot of skeletons coming out too, dude.
I know. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I've had it on my show. I've had it with one of a good guy, Theo Fleury. He had his whole big stuff happen, and we talked mental health, and I've told him he's helped me out with mine, and just everything. And then I call my wife and my mother like my saviors, and my daughter my savior. It's like you said. And then my dad, it was a little bit of the same way. Like, he was a corrections officer for 30 years, so it's like he came home, came back, came home, and it's like, at the time you're like, well, why is he always looking pissed all the time? And it's like, the guy just worked like 12 hours in a place where it's just negativity and just violence and stuff. So then when it came along, it's like, when I would call him, he's still I joke around, he's still miserable, but he, I call him, he's like, what? It's not like, hello, how are you type of thing. It's more like, what do you want? But and we had a tough relationship for a long while. And then my daughter was born, and he's like a whole new man, really is. And it's like, it's a great thing to see that my daughter converted him into being such a nice person to her and part-time me.
Absolutely. I get it. And you're going to have situations like that. Like, I had a sister growing up that was would have been 10 years older. She had passed at 41. Just addictions, drugs, alcohol, and everything else. But, we're going to have people in our life that are going to be examples, good and bad. So we really have to dial in. I love my sister. I mean, I watched her destroy her life. So when I, started drinking a little bit when I was younger, I remember like, man, okay, do I want to do this or do I want to play hockey? Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at my sister as exact example. So it kind of changed my perspective, because we're going to have people like that in our lives. And that's why I try to teach my kids. I mean, I run a nonprofit here, a roller hockey program, and we're going to have freaking kids that are jacks, man, just bullies. But there's always something behind the bully that
Yes,
isn't
there
right.
is. Absolutely.
Usually family situation, or he's dealing with something. Try to explain that to my 11 and 14-year-old, little tough, but love the kid where he's at, even though we had a situation down here a month ago, but I try to teach my kids, love people for where they're at. I keep it simple. I don't know where your beliefs are, but as a Christian, love God, love people. It doesn't say love people because they play hockey, because they have cool hair, or it just love people, whether they're freaking jacks to you or they're super sweet. Because here's the deal. I'm going to fall short. We're all going to mess up. And if we have that grace and forgiveness in our hearts for people, when somebody wants to screw me out of 50 grand 10 years ago, and I can call them up going, hockey guy too. I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. It's totally cool. I'm over it. I need to forgive you and be done with it. Like, if we can live off those morals and beliefs, that we're all going to fall short, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Bottom line, and just love people for where they're at, even if they're freaking cussing you in the middle of freaking 95 growing in Philly. It's just, I always teach my kids, there's something going on there, man. Like, I was that angry dude. I will say pre-Jesus years in my 20s. Like, I was the freaking jack who would stick you in the gut and invite you out after the game to, have a little bout in the parking lot. But until that perspective changed, I was like, I shouldn't be treating people like that. I felt bad inside, but I'm from Philly. Like, who freaking cares, right? But now I do care. But that kind of was age too. But I can still stick them on the rink, but I go over and apologize.
Yeah. It's the polite thing to do, or the Christian thing to do, or the Catholic, which I am.
Exactly. Yes. And I get that. I was born and raised Catholic school, so I get it.
But yeah, so my final thing to you, Ray, is, are you going to try to promote PBH back to everybody in the world? Are you trying to get it back for everybody?
So every once in a while, you'll get that email. There's a guy that's trying to do a documentary on it. Okay. I've got him on my phone. No, we don't need vert ramps. We don't need we need good, solid roller hockey. I would love to see it in the Olympics. Oh my goodness. I mean, can you picture 4-on-4? All right. No icing, no offsides, full rink, and guys that can fly on the rollers, insane moves, and can shoot like the wind. Oh my goodness. I just saw it down in Tampa Bay like a month ago. It was insane. Like, these pro guys, Peter and I played in pro division in Vegas. I think I was 49 years old. I skated over to Peter. We played the freaking Tour Mudcat. I don't know who it was. Oh my goodness. I went over to Peter. I was like, these freaking dudes are 18, 19 years old. I'm 50. What am I supposed to do with this? Fast, man. Unbelievable. So, hey, blessings to all the young guys, but I would love to see it as an Olympic sport. I mean, badminton. I love badminton.
I know. And, all the talent to the teams that do the ribbon twirl with the hula hoop thing. But
no, don't tell me that's an Olympic sport, is it? Oh my goodness.
It is. They just have
I missed that one.
They had a controversy where somebody's hoop was messed up and the point system got messed up. I'm like, if you had that in hockey, you don't need that many points but a goal.
Hey, thank you. Oh my goodness.
Or a couple of penalty minutes if you really got into it. But yeah. So what's in it next for you, Ray? Like, what's your next ventures now?
So right now, I guess my focus is ice hockey. Dialing in my 14-year-old who's starting high school in 2 days. Excited about that. She, like I said, she's almost a year in the ice right now. Picked up the game really quick. She actually plays for 2 Orlando teams.
Don't say Orlando. My wife and daughter love Disney. So,
oh, dude, you're coming down. We have to hang out, man. Absolutely.
I am in October. I'll see you there.
Cool. And we're like 20 minutes off of 95 up near Amelia.
Nice.
If we can get together, that'd be awesome. But yeah, right now, ice hockey, I'm actually taking my USA certification so I can help coach a little bit. And it's funny. This is my stupid cocky self. So she starts playing ice. Dude, I've been working with Peter Dale, Team USA clinics since 95 when we met. We train players all over the world. So I go down to Jacksonville ice hockey and they're like, you can't step on the ice unless you're USA certified. And I looked at the dude. I'm like, dude, I've been doing this for 30 years. You kidding me? Or 25 years, whatever. And he looked at me like, who are you? I was like, and I shut myself up. I'm like, stop being a jerk, Ray. So I'm actually going through the training. I got modules tonight. So I'm going to just assistant coach for a little bit. I also run a nonprofit here on Amelia Island, about 5 minutes from the house. Started that 6 years ago. What that is a kids roller hockey skate outdoor rink right by the ocean, right by the beach. It's awesome. City owned rink. They actually redid the rink for me about 3 years ago. I do a kid skate for an hour and a half, do a little bit of training. Then we have adults come in. Totally nonprofit, because when 2008 hit me financially and my youngest was 2 years old, if it wasn't for free programs in North Carolina, my kids would have never played anything. We got down here. I said to my wife, I was like, I am not getting paid for hockey. Sometimes I'll get $20 in the bucket, whatever. I don't care. People donate hockey equipment. I have a 1998 Expedition filled with hockey equipment. If you showed up, I could outfit you head to toe. You can try hockey out. If you didn't like it, put the stuff back in my old truck and we're totally cool. Dude, I get kids like, cool, man. We drive them by. They're like, Mom, Dad, what's that? Dude, I invite them over. I throw a helmet on them, throw a stick. They run around. If they're on tennis shoes, great. If I can put skates on them. That's been going on for 6 years. We've had probably a couple hundred kids through the program and we don't season out. So if you're done baseball, come play.
Come on over,
soccer, come play. If it's 100 degrees, us stupid adults are still playing. Yeah, we're still out there. So that's a focus right now. It's kind of my ministry, and I just love it.
Yeah, what's it called so I can like branch it out for you?
Fernandina Beach Roller Hockey.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. I'll definitely do that for you.
Now, have you ever played roller?
I actually did play one season of roller when I was 16. It was next to the hockey rink that I played most of the time. I played at that rink for years up here in Massachusetts. Probably about, I would say, 20 minutes out of Boston. So we go there and it's like the other side is an indoor soccer arena. You walk onto the other side, it's a makeshift basketball court and a roller hockey rink. And so it's now a lacrosse field, I heard. So
nice.
I guess they went with the yuppies over there. Yeah.
I know. Yep.
So, and people think hockey's not expensive. That is too, but that's a whole nother subject. But yeah, playing in a league there, it was fun, but I was introduced to it. I was going from ice to roller. So guys were much faster. They were putting the puck in the net much more than me. And I'm going with, my hockey style is like, I can't turn my blade like an ice hockey skate and put the puck in the net. So like, I would just try to do dump and chase. Never worked because nobody knew how to dump and chase. So I would try to take it out myself. I think that season, was there like 10 games? I had 2 goals and about 10 penalty minutes. That's all I remember. We were the Orange Crush.
Excellent. It's either you love it or you hate it, or I think I did ice for a week after I picked up roller, and I was going back and forth, and I was in second period of an ice game, 10 o'clock at night. And I was like, I can't adjust quick enough. And that's when I decided to just be done with the ice. For the younger kids, when they're going to ice to roller season, it's a lot easier. But yeah, when you get older, you get set in your ways. I was just like, I need to be done with. It's totally different game, totally different skating style, everything about it. Yeah, dump and chase. Like, yeah, you dump and chase in a roller game. They're like, ice guy, obvious.
Yeah. But Ray, it was totally an honor to be speaking with you, and I wish you nothing but the best. And I'm going to represent this nonprofit of yours for sure up here. And you have any extra of those salsa jerseys there?
I've got, if you're looking back at me, I don't know what side shoulder that is. So that's Peter Dale from Team Heavy Metal from Pro Beach. And I do have a Web Warriors too, which is pretty sweet.
That's
I don't know if I'm going to give them up. That's probably going to cost you pretty penny.
You can't, man. Those things are valuable. Those things are like gold. They don't even have enough YouTube videos for you guys.
There's not. Yeah. People are like, oh, I saw you on YouTube. Like, what the heck is Pro Beach Roller Hockey? Were you really playing on the beach? Yeah.
If you didn't watch it when you were a kid, you didn't remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if you were at it. My favorite was every once in a while, I would get a call at 3:00 in the morning because they only aired us like really odd hours most of the time. 3:00 in the morning. Yo, dude, I'm drunk. I think you're on TV. Is that you? I'm like, oh my goodness, who is this dude?
I think they were around 3:00 Eastern time when I think around that time when they were playing that.
It may have been, early afternoon or really late at night. Yeah.
I think I was playing. Was I playing Pee-wees or Squirts? One of the two. I remember coming back from practice. You guys were on.
Oh, crazy, man.
But yeah, Ray, I wish you nothing but the best. And thank you so much for joining the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. And Matt, good luck with excellent. And Matt, good luck with everything you're doing. I love what you're doing. And, not connecting just on hockey, but, whether it's mental illness, just there's so many facets and you got the big guys on here. You got the NHL players. It's funny because we're so used to like, oh, he's perfect. He won it. But, these guys have problems too. And if they're sharing with you, it's going to help the other guy down the road.
Yeah, and it did. I talked to a lot of them and, some of them alcohol. It was what hockey was about, painkillers and alcohol. And then them telling me their stories I tell most of my people that are in my circle or have interviewed, your family to me once you have an interview with me, pretty much. So, and I hope to be a better game-changing dad after this episode.
Amen, brother. Get me your address and I'll send you out a book. Love to.
All right, cool.
Be honored.
All right, man. Awesome. Thank you so much. And again, thank you, Ray, and I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on the show.
Excellent. Right back at you, brother.
What's up? We the BMG boys. And thank you for listening. Please follow his Facebook page and subscribe to his podcast at Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Let's go. We tell them no. When it comes to getting dough and chasing dollars.